Well, Mark, I guess it makes sense to start with the injuries. Is there going to be anyone back in the squad for this weekend? It didn't seem too likely when we last spoke.
Potentially George Williams. We'll see how he is. He'll be back in today. So obviously he's been sick, but he's back today. So hopeful that he could be. And we've got a check-in on Ben Warman today. He's made fairly good recovery since Derby on his ankle. So we'll see whether or not that allows him to get any time on the grass in the next 24, 48 hours, and whether he's an option or not. So other than that, that would be us. So hopefully we can get those couple back into the squad because we need those at the moment.
Yeah, it's good news for Ben because I think initially it was feared it could be something quite serious. So if he could be back for the weekend, that'd be great.
Yeah, it would. I mean, the severity of our injuries has been very big. Obviously, this year we've seen that and said that a few times. So anything that's short term would be great for us at the moment. So again, that is a little bit touch and go. We've got to see how that settles and how he goes in the next few days. But the big drama of what the injury could have been has sort of subsided. So hopefully we can get him into some sessions and get him in a position where he can contribute at the weekend. But we probably won't know that until the end of Friday's session, being honest. We maybe know a little bit more after today, but we'll see where we are in the next couple of days. Yeah,
it's a big part of it at the moment with so many injuries. When somebody is in contention to be around the first team, I guess you have to be so careful really with all of the players you've got left because you're really relying on the ones who are fit.
Yeah, I mean, we gave the players a couple of days off after the game Monday, so we're back in today. This will get us back on our normal schedule for the first time in it seems ages anyway, a couple of day run into a game, partly because the same players have been asked to go again and again, and physically they're in a real dangerous position then, but those couple of days will have been good for them, a little bit of time to recover and recharge the batteries, and we'll get a couple of training days going into the weekend, so we'll certainly be in a good place physically going into the game, or better than we have been going into this game, and then you just hope we can keep everybody fit. And I think the picture for the rest of the month looks fairly healthy in the sense that we've got a game sort of once a week now for January. So that gives us a chance to train, it gives us a chance to recover between games and not be too demanding on the small group of players that we've got. And obviously throughout the month we hope that we can keep everybody fit and that we can add to that squad with incomings or boys returning, because Fajiri and Brandon aren't too far away at the moment. They're really stepping up their rehab as well, so there's a little bit of a light at the end of the tunnel with those. Dimitar's back on the grass with Taff doing little bits of goalkeeping, but he's not flying around at all yet, and he's not in group sessions, so we're still a few weeks away from there, but we're starting to see one or two come outside and get a little bit closer to full training again.
Yeah, without wanting to put any pressure on anyone, for Brandon and Fajiri, chance then by the end of the month they could be back in the picture?
Yeah, we'd hope so. You can never be... You don't want to put too many timelines on it because players, when they're out, the longer you're out, the more you can have setbacks in the return. So we do hope that we can do that. We'll see part of them in our training session today as well. So that's good, and we hope that we can start to see them as the month goes on returning. So that will change the picture a little bit, and as we add to the squad as well, we'll hopefully get to a full bill of health before too long.
It's obviously been a crazy situation to have so many injuries. Is there any sense as a manager that you can take it as quite a valuable learning experience, in that when you have a massive setback, there must always be some learnings to take from it, even if at the time it's not an enjoyable experience?
Well, I think the first learnings you always try and take from injuries is just, have we done anything wrong or could we have done things better? Because we always review those things. I mean, the reality is we had the report from the EFL for the injury audit, and a lot of ours have been sustained or in games and a contact injury. So they are very difficult to avoid, and the severity of those injuries, the number of injuries we've had is actually fairly low in terms of the league, but the severity of them is very, very high. So we've had them all in one batch. We've not known that in the 3 years that we've been doing this, that it's looked like that. So in the moment, is there any enjoyment out of not having your full deck to pick from and knowing that you're going into games really putting players under pressure? No, and the consequences of it aren't very enjoyable sometimes as well, and we've certainly suffered because of that. But when you then step back and reflect over it, it is an opportunity for other players to play, and it does build resilience, and you don't achieve anything without having that. So that's certainly something that we will grow from when we get out the other side of it. And actually, prior to Monday, we were in a really good place. I think the training sessions have been excellent. I think the performances against Derby, Plymouth, Shrewsbury were very, very good, and we have to not be fooled into the trap that you are only as good as your last game is a saying. But at the same time, when you judge the circumstances of that, and then you look at the previous week, we're really pleased with where we were, and we need to now get ourselves into a position where we can hit those levels again in the next month. And then I think any learning and review that goes on will go on probably at the end of the season now, because we are right in the heat of it all. But we are certainly in a position as a club and with people that like learning and like reviewing everything, and we do work with really good detail. I think the quality of our work's excellent, and that is reflected in some of the performances that we've had recently, but not all of them, and that's the task for us, is to find that consistency.
I guess you'll have all of the data and the metrics that goes with Monday, but from the outside looking in, a fairly straightforward way of summarising it perhaps is coming up against a very good side and just running out of steam, really. Yeah,
I mean, loads of reasons. In the end, against the top teams, you need your top players and your team available, and you need to be at your physical peak, and we have neither, so that becomes a really difficult game. The consequences of pressure leads to the goals. I don't think it's a penalty. I think there's a foul in the build-up to the fifth goal. If it is a penalty, then it's a foul on Jack in the build-up to that. But you're probably nitpicking at those moments. We had some decent chances and a few bits of good play in the final third, but they're on another level. They're on another planet, really, to actually quite a few in the league, and they're in incredible form. And I'll be amazed if they don't go in the top two. I think they're probably stronger than anyone that got promoted last season. So I think they're in a really good position, and I think the top maybe 3, 4, 5 are going to have very, very active windows and only get stronger. So I'm certainly glad we've played them twice. And we weren't able to find a level that got us to a competitive enough game against them. So it's tough for the players, tough for everybody. Not an easy game to play in or to be part of. But one you have to just sort of get rid of quite quickly, because we've got some big games ahead.
Yeah, and Bristol Rovers this weekend, the part of their side, if you like, that really stands out are the two forwards and the goal getting, and they've been on a good run of form. Yeah,
they have. Probably kick-started against us, actually. They've been on really good form since then. They're another team that have got their eyes on the playoffs, and are in a run of form that suggests that they can stick around where they are, and I'm sure they'll strengthen again in January. And then, like you say, the top end of the pitch are very strong. They've got some goal scorers in there, and Collins is on really good form. Boy Corbin on loan from Middlesbrough is doing very well as well. So we've played against them. We've got an idea of what that looks like, but we'll certainly have to be resolute in our defending and strong in order to stop the ball getting to that part of the pitch, but defend those situations well. But we also know that when we found a good level ourselves in the recent last couple of weeks, we've had some really good performances. We've had some excellent intensity in our pressing in certain games, some good use of the ball, creation of chances has been good. So I think we've got plenty of threats in our game as well, that if we find that level in the next few days and going into the weekend, we can put in a really good performance and give ourselves a good chance of starting what is 2 home games in the next week, which is important for us, to try and come out with some positive results.
And with the transfer situation, I feel a bit like a child on a car journey going, are we nearly there yet? You probably don't have anything to tell us, but we always have to ask the question, anything on the boil ahead of the weekend?
Really unlikely ahead of the weekend. I think if we add anything before the weekend, it will be unlikely that they'll be able to play at the weekend. But certainly early next week, we'd be hoping to add to the squad, and we're getting close with some, but the reality of the window is, very few have gone early. Some have with big money, but normally it's circumstances, or in order to get in, you need the other clubs to have filled the holes and brought in their own players as well. So we're working really hard on that. We hope to have something to announce really quickly, but at the same time, it's probably not going to be anything that's going to influence the squad this weekend. So hopefully early next weekend, we've got 1 or 2 to announce, and that'll kickstart our work for the window.
Cool, that's great for me.
Hi Mark, just on the subject of January, there was a report that said that you've rejected a bid from Plymouth for Harvey Nibbs. Is that the case?
Well, I don't want to talk about other clubs. I mean, we have rejected a bid for Harvey, yes, like we did in the summer. We did for Sam Smith in the summer as well. We're certainly not in a position where we want to be moving players on, regardless of the fact that you could argue the economics of it with players in the last few months of their contracts might be right. But from the owners all the way through, we're very, very committed to keeping the squad together as best we can, unless it becomes ridiculous, and not losing really integral players for us. And the support of the owners in that is excellent. It was the same in the summer, really. Our aim of the summer was to keep the squad together. Our aim of this window is to keep it together and add to it. And sometimes in January we could get access to players that we might not be able to find or sign in the summer because of the loan market changes a little bit. So we're hoping to add to that, but Harvey's one that we think's having a good season, and we certainly don't want to lose him. So we're not welcoming any offers really on any of our players. We want to keep this squad together and build on it now between now and the end of the season.
You said on the injury front that Brandon and Fajiri have got a chance of being back this month. Is that not the case for Dimmy and Liam O'Neill then?
Not Liam. Dimmy really just depends how he goes in the next few days. He's very early rehab out on the grass, so again, I'm not really sure whether it's late Jan, early Feb, or a little bit further into February. We're not really sure at the moment, so I wouldn't expect they're imminent. The other two are ahead of those, so we hope to see those two back sooner, certainly.
Has Liam had a bit of a setback then?
Not so much, really. I don't think we ever really gave a timeline. He's had an injection in his ankle, which just needs a bit of time to settle down. So I can never remember with so many that we've had what we've said about everybody. But he's probably where we thought he might be, and looking into February before we see him back, I think.
Just on the second half of the season, you've kind of stated a few times that you're confident that things will improve in the second half. Why do you think that is the case? Is it just mainly down to having a stronger squad available to you?
Yeah, it's completely down to that. Yeah, I mean, you'd like to think we can't be as unfortunate on injury front as we have been. We like to think that some of those that have been out injured will be back fit, and we will strengthen the squad in January. So what I know is we've got a good spirit and organisation in terms of the people that we've got. I know that we give the players really good information and we work them well, and we're very, very consistent with that. And I know that when we're good enough. So that's really where we need to get to. It's finding that level of consistency. So whatever we've got, over 20 games remaining in the season, I'm pretty confident that we can put ourselves in a position where we are improving not only the consistency of our performances, but the consistency of the days where we take results and win more games, or certainly take points from more games than we don't. So that's our work is focused on that, building a stronger squad, getting players back into the squad fit, and then making sure that we hit the level that we're capable of more consistently. And I think over 3 years we've shown a really good ability to do that, and therefore I've got absolute confidence that will happen. If you want to gain confidence, look for evidence. Evidence comes in the history, and the history is that we've done quite well, and we know what we're doing, and we've got some good players, and we're a good team when we're at our best, and that's our job to find that again.
And just on Bristol Rovers, what are you expecting from them?
I think they're in a really good position as a team at the moment, very fluid in the systems that they play. One game to the next, or even in game, from a back three to a four, from a diamond to a three to a front two. They've got lots of fluidity and versatility in how they play. Very attacking team, make you defend, get lots of runners forwards, and have got a front two that are in really good form, or 3 forward players that are in really good form. So they'll certainly come with a confidence to chase the game and come after us. And really attack us. I know that, and our job will be to stand up to that, but to try and get to the level. In recent home games, you look at the Plymouth game, we were exceptional. You look at the Shrewsbury game, played very well, and even the Derby game, we were very, very competitive physically, firstly, and we created some decent chances off the back of that. So our job is to do that and find that best level again. And if we can have 1 or 2 back in the side, or certainly a fresher team to pick from, hopefully we can get a stronger team on the pitch and go and give a good performance that gives us a chance.
That's great. Thanks, Mark.
Thank you, chaps.